Are you trying to live for God, trying to do the right thing, trying to be a good person, and yet you're suffering? You're going through emotional anguish from people rejecting you or abandoning you or depreciating you or disrespectful to you or hurting you. Maybe you're going through some physical anguish, you're suffering, you're in pain, you're sick, you're hurting. Maybe you're going through spiritual torment. The enemy is all over. He's attacking. He just won't give up. It's coming from one direction and then another. Maybe the government's giving you problems. There's legal hassles. I don't know why you're suffering today, but I do want you to know this. God understands. God understands your suffering. Now, on one hand, God is infinite. God is perfect. God is He's just beyond anything we can imagine, beyond sin, beyond suffering. But on the other hand, He became one of us so He could fully understand what we experience. I appreciate Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 15. It says, we don't have a great high priest, talking about Jesus, who wasn't tempted in every way like we have been tempted. Yet He did so without sin. Therefore, let us come boldly to the throne of grace that we may obtain grace and mercy to help us in our time of need. God understands, and Jesus opened a door so that you could experience grace and mercy to help you in your time of suffering. And I want to remind you, one day there'll be no suffering. But Jesus paid the price so that that day could happen for you. We're told in 1 Peter 3:18, Christ suffered for us. The just, that's Jesus. For the unjust, that's us, that He might bring us to God. Jesus suffered for us so that He could get us to God, so that ultimately one day we would be in a place where there is no sickness, there is no illness, no cancer, no pain, no sorrow, no suffering, no hunger, no thirst, no conflict, no war, no crime, no lying, no cheating, no stealing, no raping, no murdering. Jesus died for us, the just for the unjust, that He might bring us to God. So I want you to understand something. When you're hurting and you feel like God doesn't understand, I want you to understand this. The ultimate case of a bad thing happening to a truly good person is Jesus. When Jesus was crucified for our sins. That is the greatest example of the good person suffering great anguish, great pain, great sorrow. Emotional pain, He had healed these people, and then not long after that, He had fed these people, and not long after that, He had taught these people, and not long after that, they're crying, crucify Him, crucify Him. He was abandoned by His followers. His best friend denied Him 3 times. One of His friends betrayed Him to be killed. He suffered emotional anguish at a high level. Physical anguish? You talk about crucifixion. Well, before that, they beat Him. They put a crown of thorns on His head. They whipped Him with a cat of 9 tails whip, a whip with 9 long leather lashes with bones and metal and it tied into it, so that when it hit you, it ripped the skin away from your back and literally shredded your back. He experienced that physical anguish. And then He was crucified. The most torturous death the Romans could possibly come up with. Crucifixion, you fight against the spikes in your hands and feet just to get a breath. Just to get a breath. He suffered physically. If you're suffering physically, you need to know Jesus suffered physically. Emotionally. Spiritually, don't you know that every demon in the universe was right there the day Jesus was crucified, spitting at Him, mocking Him, shouting at Him, yelling at Him? Incredible spiritual anguish. Plus, the Father had to turn His back on the Son as He became sin for us. He'd never experienced that throughout all eternity. Incredible suffering. Don't you dare think God doesn't understand your suffering. Jesus went through more suffering than any of us can imagine. in order to bring us to God so we can receive grace and mercy to help us in our time of need. Run to God today. Take your pain, take your sorrow, take your suffering to God today. I'm Dave Early. Join us tomorrow. We're going to be talking more about why bad things happen to good people. You can follow us on Facebook, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. God bless you.